Let's dive into one of the most incredible stories in all of biology. It's a story about a secret partnership, a kind of ancient merger that happened over 1 billion years ago. And the wildest part? The evidence isn't buried in some dusty fossil. It's inside every single cell of your body right now.
I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. Inside your brain, your heart, your skin, every little bit of you is made of cells. We're talking trillions and trillions of them. It's a number so big, it's hard to even wrap your head around.
And inside almost every single one of those cells, there are hundreds, sometimes even thousands of these tiny structures working nonstop. You probably learned about them in school. They're called mitochondria. They're the power plants, the little engines generating all the energy that keeps you going.
But here's where the story takes a really strange turn. What if I told you that those power plants aren't actually from your cells? What if they're the descendants of an ancient guest, a totally separate organism that just moved in a long, long time ago? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Were they always yours?
Okay, to really understand what's going on, we need to shrink way, way down and take a little tour. Honestly, the best way to picture one of your cells is to think of it like a busy, microscopic city. It's this amazingly complex and organized little world.
Every city needs its infrastructure, right? Well, the cell has it all. The cell membrane, that's like the city's border control, deciding who gets in and who gets out. The cytoplasm is the city itself, kind of like the streets and buildings where all the work happens. Right in the center, you've got the nucleus, which is basically City Hall. It holds the master blueprints for the whole operation, our DNA. And then scattered all over the place are the mitochondria, the power plants, just humming along, providing energy for everything and everyone.
All right, let's zoom in on those power plants, because this is where our mystery really unfolds. When biologists started looking really closely at mitochondria, they found something that just didn't add up at all.
So here's the puzzle. See, almost every other part of the cell gets built based on the instructions from that main DNA in the nucleus in City Hall. But mitochondria, they're totally different. They have their own separate little loop of DNA, like a secret private instruction manual. And they don't get built by the cell. They make more of themselves by just splitting in two, exactly like bacteria do.
This is the central mystery. It's just weird. It would be like finding out that every power station in the entire country was built using some strange, secret blueprints that had nothing to do with the national government. You'd have to ask, why? Why on earth does the city's power plant have its own set of blueprints?
The answer is a theory that was once so out there people thought it was scientific fantasy. But today, it's a cornerstone of modern biology. It's called endosymbiosis, and it completely changes the story of how complex life, including us, ever came to be.
Let's just break that word down real quick. Endo means within, and symbiosis means living together. So endosymbiosis is this incredibly close partnership where one organism literally takes up residence inside another one, permanently. And over millions of years, the two become so tangled up that they basically become one single new kind of being.
Now, this idea didn't just pop up overnight. For more than a century, a few sharp-eyed scientists noticed these little clues, but the theory was mostly ignored. That is, until the 1960s, when a brilliant biologist named Lynn Margulis fought to bring it into the mainstream. And even more recently, the hydrogen hypothesis gave us a really clear picture of the deal that might have kicked this whole thing off.
So what was this ancient deal? The hydrogen hypothesis paints a pretty cool picture. Imagine 2 billion years ago, there's a simple little organism, an archaeon, that needs hydrogen to live. And nearby, there's a bacterium that just happens to produce hydrogen as waste. It's a perfect match. The host started hanging around the guest, depending on its waste, until eventually it just engulfed it. Over ages, the guest moved in for good, and they sealed the deal by sharing some genes. And the result? A brand new, superpowered kind of cell was born. The very first eukaryote, the ancestor to all animals, plants, and fungi on Earth. So, what was the big payoff from this roommate situation? The answer is simple: energy. An absolutely incredible surplus of energy. This new hybrid cell had way more power than anything that had come before it. And with all that extra fuel in the tank, it could finally start building some seriously big, sophisticated machinery. And a perfect example of this newfound complexity is the ribosome. You can think of them as these amazing little nanomachines. They are the protein factories of the cell, and their job is to read our genetic code and build basically everything the cell needs, and to do it with just breathtaking precision. And make no mistake,
This is not a simple task. It's one of the most critical jobs in all of life. A single mistake, just one tiny error in translating that genetic code, could create a messed up protein, which could be an absolute catastrophe for the cell. This is high-stakes work, and you need a really sophisticated, energy-hungry machine to get it right. Every single time.
So it has this built-in quality control system. It's basically a four-step process. First, a little helper protein delivers the next building block. Second, the ribosome itself checks it. Does it perfectly match the blueprint? Third, if the answer is yes, a chemical switch gets flipped that says we're good to go. And finally, that new piece is added to the growing protein chain. This incredibly precise multi-step checking process is only possible because of the massive amounts of energy supplied by our little mitochondrial guests.
So let's zoom all the way back out. This isn't just a cool story about ancient microbes. This is our story. It's the story of our deepest, most fundamental origins. And the implication is just staggering. It means that you and I, at our very core, we aren't one thing. We're two. We're chimeras.
And the proof is written right there in your own DNA. When we analyze our genes, we find two completely different family trees. About a third of our genes, the ones for reading and managing our DNA, they come from the original host, the archaeon. But almost two-thirds of our genes, the ones for running our metabolism and making energy, they come from that bacterial guest. We are all walking, talking hybrids, a fusion of two ancient forms of life.
You know, the truly mind-blowing thing here is that this incredible leap forward, the leap that led to plants and fungi and animals and eventually us, it seems to have happened just once. A single chance encounter, a single successful partnership over 1 billion years ago is the common ancestor of every single complex living thing today. Every tree, every blade of grass, every person you've ever met. All of it from one event.
And that just leaves us with a final, fascinating thought to chew on. We just went through the story of one incredible partnership. It makes you wonder, if the most important defining moment for all complex life was an act of cooperation, not competition, what other amazing partnerships have been written into the story of life, just waiting for us to find them?